Was I free? Or was I just running? In September 1992, a moose hunter in Alaska stumbled upon an abandoned bus deep in the wilderness. Inside, he found a sleeping bag, a journal, a camera, and a body. The man had been dead for 2 weeks. He was 24 years old, and he had chosen every single step that brought him there. My name is Christopher McCandless, though by the end I had stopped using that name entirely. I was 22 years old when I drove my car into the desert, took everything out of it, and left it there. I had $10,000 in savings from college. I donated every cent of it to Oxfam and walked away. I burned the last of my cash in a small fire by the side of the road, watched it go, felt something lift off me that I hadn't realized I'd been carrying. I know how that sounds. Rich kid playing poor, privileged boy pretending to suffer. I've heard it. I heard it even then, from the people who picked me up hitchhiking and couldn't understand why a healthy young man with a college degree and a family was standing on the side of the road with nothing. But I want to ask you something before you judge me. When was the last time you did one single thing that wasn't measured against someone else's idea of what your life should look like? I had a family, a good education, every door open, and none of it felt like mine. So I left. My father had a secret family before us. I found out when I was a teenager. He had children with another woman while he was married to my mother, and then he built our life on top of that buried one, pretending it had never happened. He was successful by every measure that matters to people. Money, status, a beautiful home. He smiled at dinner parties and shook the right hands. Nobody who met him would have guessed what he'd done. My mother stayed. She made her peace with it, or at least the version of peace that looks like staying. And I watched them build a life on a lie and call it a family. And I thought, if that is what civilization produces, if that is what playing by the rules gets you, I want no part of it. That's not a clean or comfortable thing to say. It sounds like I'm blaming them. Maybe I am. Maybe I also needed something to blame so I could justify what I already wanted to do. Both things can be true. I've learned that both things are almost always true. For 2 years, I disappeared. I became Alex Supertramp, a name I gave myself, which tells you something about how seriously I took the reinvention. I worked grain harvests in South Dakota. I kayaked down the Colorado River into Mexico. I lived in an abandoned bus in the California desert for a while. I met people on the margins, people who had also stepped out of the story the world had written for them. Wayne Westerberg, who gave me work and meals and didn't ask too many questions. Jan and Bob, who were old enough to be my grandparents and loved me like I was their own. Ronald Franz, 80 years old, who offered to adopt me. Strangers loved me more freely than my own family ever had, and I didn't stop to ask myself why that might be. I was good at being a traveler. I was good at being free. I was less certain, in the quiet moments, about what I was actually moving toward. Thoreau said that a man is rich in proportion to the number of things he can afford to let alone. I had memorized that line. I recited it to people. I believed it completely. I still do. I also think Thoreau went home to his mother's house for dinner most nights, which I did not know at the time. Alaska was always the destination. Alaska was the purest version of the idea, the place where the wilderness was so complete, so indifferent, that you could not pretend. You could not perform survival. You either survived or you didn't. I hitchhiked north in the spring of 1992. A man named Jim Gallion picked me up outside Fairbanks and drove me to the edge of the Stampede Trail. He offered me his boots. My shoes were too thin for what was coming. He offered me his watch. I turned both down. That refusal haunts me now. I thought I was proving something about self-reliance. I was actually proving something about pride. There is a difference, and it matters enormously, and I did not understand it until it was too late. I walked into the wilderness alone with 10 pounds of rice, a rifle, a camera, and a copy of Dr. Zhivago. I found the abandoned bus, Bus 142. I made it my home. I named it the Magic Bus because I was 23 and still thought magic was something you declared rather than something that happened to you. For the first weeks, I was happy in a way I had never been happy before. I shot game, I foraged, I wrote in my journal every day. I felt the silence the way you feel heat, as a physical thing, pressing on all sides. Not frightening, but immense. I made a mistake that any Alaskan could have told me about. When I arrived in April, the Teklanika River was frozen. By July, the snowmelt had turned it into a raging torrent, 50 meters wide, waist deep, moving fast enough to kill a man who lost his footing. I tried to leave, I walked to the river and stood at the bank and looked at what I had to cross to get back to the world, and I could not cross it. I had survived on my own for 3 months in the Alaskan wilderness, and I was stopped by something any park ranger, any local guide could have warned me about in 30 seconds. I walked back to the bus. There was a hand-drawn map available at a park service cabin less than a mile from where I stood. It showed a hand-operated tram crossing the river, a way out. I did not know it was there. I had not asked. I had not wanted help, and so I had not looked for it. I had a book of edible plants. I was eating wild potato seeds, or what I believed to be wild potato seeds. By August, I weighed less than 130 pounds. Near the end, I wrote in my journal, "I have had a happy life and thank the Lord. Goodbye, and may God bless all." I meant it. I want you to believe that I meant it. Whatever mistakes I made, whatever pride or blindness brought me to that bus, the life I had lived felt full to me. The road had been real. The people had been real. The wilderness had been real. But I also wrote, in those last weeks, the 4 words that break my heart to remember. Happiness only real when shared. I was alone when I understood that. I was alone, and it was too late to tell anyone. They found my body on September 6th, 1992. I was inside my sleeping bag. I had been dead for 2 weeks. I was 24 years old. People have been fighting about me ever since. Some say I was a visionary, a young man who had the courage to reject a hollow society and go looking for something real. Others say I was an arrogant fool, underprepared and overconfident, a boy who hurt everyone who loved him in the name of a philosophy he had read about in books but never actually tested. Both versions are true. You can be brave and reckless at the same time. You can be right about what you're running from and wrong about how you run. You can reject a lie and accidentally build a new one, the lie that you don't need anyone. Was I free? Yes, for a while. Was I running? Also yes. I think the most honest answer is that I never quite learned the difference. And the difference is everything. Happiness only real when shared. If you take anything from my story, take that. Not the adventure, not the wilderness, not the rejection of everything comfortable and safe, just that. Go find someone to share it with, before the river rises, before it's too late to cross.